All right, we have $20 from Tukapa, the Billist. Hope you're enjoying AGDQ, and good luck on the run. Put this money towards the runner's choice, Lil Z. $100 from Insane5. Started watching this last year and have been looking forward to January ever since. Sucks that this started on my last day of vacation from work. Hope you realize the significance of the work you guys are doing. Keep it up. Much love. $50 from a donator, long-time viewer, first-time donator. It'd be terrible of me if I didn't donate at least something for all the great entertainment you've given me in the past years. Keep up the good work. $50, I'm not able to pronounce this right. Jeanette, looking forward to all the great speedruns and the donations going to a great cause. $30 from Tanown. Within a deep forest, one of the first video games I've ever completed without resorting to cheats or walkthroughs, and it still remains one of my favorite games of all time. Glad it's being run this year to help a good cause.
Nodding approvingly. I think I'll move it.
But I just wanted to mention that we're meeting a lot of the great incentives that we're hitting, and the next one that we haven't met yet that's coming up is an incentive in the Wiz to break the camera incentive, which has very little towards it, and I hear that's very entertaining. So I just wanted to mention that so people can put, maybe if they're not sure to put money towards something, they can put it to that.
Number 2. Or no, I can't.
$20 from Gage. This is fun. $20 from 8 Bits at a Time. Stayed up so I can hear Blecky do commentary.
Like the rubber.
$51.76 from Anaukinit. New to the stream and cause. Love the idea and I'm happy to help.
I should have backed there. Just make sure it says 100%.
airport to mention that one of our great sponsors this year is Humble Bundle. Check out the Awesome Games Done Quick Humble Bundle on humblebundle.com. Pay what you want for up to 9 games, a Twitch Turbo subscription to XSplit Premium, and exclusive merchandise, all while supporting Prevent Cancer Foundation. That's www.humblebundle.com.
Do we have him on Skype? Yeah. Go. Hey, so we've got great news for you today. So this is Within a Deep Forest, and we'll be talking about the game a lot. But more exciting than that is we have the developer of the game, Niflis, on Skype. So he's going to be helping us and talking us through kind of the development process of this game and what it was like. So can we please just get a quick round of applause for Niflis, because he is a great developer. So, hiya Niflis, welcome. Can you hear us A-okay? You didn't hear our
Technical difficulties.
Sure. Yeah, so basically, let me just introduce this game real quick. Yeah, this is Within a Deep Forest. I believe it was made in 2007. It's, to me, honestly, one of the most influential indie games there has been in the scene. So I'm really looking forward to this run, because Midboss is the record holder at 18. Midboss, could you refresh my memory? 1849. And so he's the record holder right now. He's great at it. I've been watching him practice runs all day, and he's just amazing at it. So it's going to be really cool. What's that? He's on? Okay. Hey, Niflis, do we have you on?
Yeah. Hi.
Great. Okay. So a big time welcome to you. This is so exciting to have you. And I think we're really ready to go whenever Midboss is good.
Awesome.
The last thing I'll say also is it is Niflis's birthday today, just coincidentally. So that's really exciting. Give it up for that. So yeah, So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to asking you a lot of questions, Niflis. Before we get into it, I do just want to kind of introduce the game and the general idea of it.
Sure.
Basically, there's a gigantic overworld for the viewers out there. There's a gigantic overworld connecting all these small levels. As you go through level by level, you start with this one ball form you can take. And after you complete every level, you get an additional ball, which has very unique physics to it. Every single ball in a run that doesn't skip anything, every single ball is required to beat the game. And so it's really cool to it's kind of a Metroidvania at heart, and it's really cool to kind of see that as that's what you're going to be seeing today as Midboss goes through the game. So Niflis, really what I want to ask you about, this was, as I mentioned before, you might not have heard it before you came on the line, but I mentioned that I think this is kind of really one of the most influential games in indie gaming history. So I really kind of want to hear kind of what, from your aspect, as you started working on this game and as you approached it, kind of what your take was and what you were looking to create as you started in on this game.
To be honest, I've always been really inspired by Marble Madness. Like, one of my dream games has always been like an isometric marble 3D or game. Only thing is I had no idea how to do isometric stuff when I created this. So I had to make it a bouncing ball instead. So it's not really like a deep, meaningful idea behind it. It's just something I wanted to make.
Cool. Yeah, and I think really what is so wonderful about this game and what really kind of is so alluring to it about for anyone that enjoys it is the aesthetic, the general aesthetic of it. Every single level has a very different feel to it just due to its graphics and its music and its general level design. Do you think, so what was your kind of, as you were creating the game, was that something you kept in mind or was that just kind of incidental along with its, that came with its development?
I did keep it in mind. I definitely wanted every area to feel different. I don't like at all like when too much stuff gets reused. I like always felt that that kind of makes the game not feel alive.
Gotcha. So just to kind of bring the viewers up to date with what's going on. So Midboss did just complete the first level. So he now has 3 balls. He is the one he started with, the one that he collected on the overworld, and then the one from the level that he just beat. So now he's continuing to this tower level, where I'll get the next one, which is called the Iron Ball. So we'll be seeing that. And so basically, the level he just previously beat is unique in that it's a spaceship level. It's only 1 screen high. And so it's just kind of a very horizontal level. Whereas this level, Shinnok Rain it's called, is a very vertical level where you have to guide this spider creature down to the bottom so that it can hit the switch for you at the very bottom. If you try and just go down there yourself, you won't be able to reach the switch and you won't be able to get the next successive ball that you need to get. So I guess one question I have for you, Niflis, is kind of, as you created each level, what kind of were you trying to really go for a kind of unique feel with each one? What were you trying to go for there, I guess?
Yeah, I wanted each level to have something mechanically distinct, so that yeah, you would always have something surprising that you hadn't seen before in every level.
Yeah, for example, I mean, this next one that Midboss is going to be visiting is an auto-scroller, and it's really the only auto-scroller in the game. And actually, so from a speedrunning perspective, to just give you kind of a little bit of a background, Niflis, I think we speedrunners kind of always, auto-scrollers drive us a little crazy just because, you know, you can't speed it up at all. So his question for you is, why did you have to include an auto-scroller in your game?
Never really considered that, actually, like the speedrunning community part of it.
Yeah.
The game did have a speedrun mode, an early version of it though. But
yeah, I remember seeing one of your earliest speedruns. I don't remember when it was from. It was from years ago. But you actually were the first one to do a speedrun of this game. It was actually a 2059, which is really only a couple minutes slower than the current record. So really, I mean, that was a solid run. And the first person who picked up this game, his name was, his handle is Chum, had a difficult time beating it for some time. So, I mean, it's really cool to see that you, the developer of this game, took up this game for speedrunning. And this was, I think, long before the speedrunning scene really kind of grew and was much of anything. So, as you approached that, what was it exactly that you felt like made you think, I really want to beat this game as quickly as possible?
I think it's just the fact that while I was developing the game, I played it so much. So, of course, I get like really good at it just automatically. And it just seemed like a fun idea to how fast can I beat it? Yeah. And I think the thing about trying to do my best, setting a really, really good record, is also that it's kind of nice to have something. I really want people to beat it, right? Like, I wanted to set something really difficult that someone would beat.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's how, honestly, a lot of people just kind of organically find speedrunning themselves. They just like a game so much that they just want to play it over and over, and that just kind of turns into, okay, how can I beat this game as quickly as possible? So that, I mean, that absolutely makes sense, and I think it's something that a lot of speedrunners can relate to.
Yeah.
Now, this level here is my personal favorite, because, I mean, to the viewer, it just looks like a bunch of jumbled shapes. But once you've played the game once, it really makes sense visually. Because the idea is basically, every kind of screen has something very unique to it. For example, here you can see Midboss is using the iron ball. And what that means is that those gray blocks on the screen, because the idea is that the iron ball is gray, and so these gray blocks are the only things that actually act as walls and floors, whereas he just had to go back through the room a second time, and he could only use the pink ball, which would allow him to obviously traverse the pink floors and walls. So this is really just, to me, yet another kind of very unique level. So it's just really cool to see, as this game progresses, every single level has a very distinct feel to it. So I really think that's a lot of fun. One thing I was curious, as I mentioned, I mean, this was a very early game, long before in my opinion, long before the indie game scene really started to blow up. Are there any kind of influences or inspirations you had that kind of you looked to as you started to develop this game and your previous ones?
Trying to remember exactly what they were. I only remember that the game Eco came out while I was developing this, or maybe slightly before. But there was something about that game that it didn't have, almost didn't have music or stuff like that. That actually directly influenced me to make that level where we were 2 levels ago, like the one that doesn't have music. I figured it would be an unusual contrast to just have a level with water sounds and without music. So that's a direct influence I know about.
And then, I mean, I have that date, right? This was created in 2007. Can you correct me on that?
Probably earlier. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Hard to remember.
And I mean, I'm really kind of looking to, because you've been in the indie game scene since then. It's not like you kind of just made this game and disappeared. You've been very active since. So yeah. I'm wondering if you have any input in terms of kind of how you feel the indie gaming scene has changed, or if you feel it's largely the same. Can you speak to that at all?
Yeah, I mean, it has grown like crazy. It's so much bigger now. And even a lot of indie companies these days are so much more bigger than I remember them from like my time. And the games some people or companies can make are just so insanely impressive and big. It's but it's exciting though.
Yeah. And as it kind of changed, have you felt you've needed to adapt how you approach game development at all to kind of adapt to that, or do you feel like your approach has been generally the same since you started?
I try to not adapt too much, because it's essentially when all I want to do is just to make games, and I just do it because I love it. And if I would have to adapt it like way too much, then I think I would rather do something else, right? Like, then I would have a job and do games on the side as a hobby.
That makes sense. Yeah, so it's really kind of it sounds like you're trying to kind of maintain a sort of grassroots feel almost, that you kind of appreciated as you started and just kind of stay kind of true. Yeah. I don't want to like put words in your mouth, but that's it.
No, it's kind of, yeah, I mean, I do adapt to a certain degree, and also I do change a lot, and like the kinds of games I do are changing, but I never want to I never want to change to doing decisions that doesn't feel like the games I want to make, just to survive making games.
Yeah. So I've been watching a lecture that you gave recently, or some time ago, and one of the most interesting things that stuck out to me was that you felt like, I think one of your biggest difficulties and hurdles you saw as you first approached developing indie games is how to exactly approach difficulty of the game you were creating.
Oh, yeah.
Could you speak to that a bit?
So there's a rule I always try to keep in mind. And this is that my game is probably harder than I think. Probably a lot. I mean, when I made Within a Deep Forest, I had made 2 ball bouncing games before that were meant to be normal and they were so hard that almost nobody could beat them. So in this particular case, I really tried to, this time I'm going to create a normal difficulty game. And ended up with a pretty hard game, but one that a lot of people could still enjoy. And I think at that point I established this rule that I'm always going to underestimate the difficulty of my games a bit.
Gotcha. So one thing I do want to explain about this run. Midboss is doing a 100% run. And what that entails is picking up every ball in the game. Now, it should be noted that this is actually how you're supposed to beat the game anyway. The difference between this and an any percent run is that an any percent run skips balls, I believe, 2, 4, 6, and 8. So it skips 4 of the 10 balls you would normally get throughout the run. And the glass ball, the reason that is possible is because the glass ball is able to kind of bounce off of these little corners very specifically and can gain almost infinite height. I believe technically unlimited height. I think that's a glitch. I think that has been known for some time, and it's pretty interesting. I don't recall. Were you aware that glitch existed, Niflis?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't when I designed the game. What happened was basically I store the collision strength as a variable, but as a single variable both for vertical and horizontal walls. Which means that if you collide with both a horizontal and vertical wall in one frame, the horizontal collision gets priority, which means that, the vertical value isn't applied and the ball doesn't break. But because I always planned the ball to break, I didn't see a reason to have the height limits of the jump. So I just never implemented that. And that's kind of how it happened. When it was discovered, people started to sequence break the game, and they loved it, and they kind of told me that I was not allowed to remove that bug.
Yeah, that was going to be my follow-up question. So you find out about this glitch. You find out that, essentially, you find out that you made a mistake in programming the game.
Yeah.
So what exactly was your reaction to that? Like, despite ignoring the community saying, please don't remove this glitch, what was your personal reaction to finding that out?
I strangely didn't mind. I kind of realized that it made the game more interesting. So I never actually wanted to remove it.
Yeah, it's honestly, I mean, again, returning to kind of the general speedrunning view, we absolutely love when we find a glitch, we find a trick, we find a bug in a game that can be used either just for showing off or to actually make the game even faster. So, I mean, it's really cool. I mean, I'll be honest that I think the people that run this game probably don't prefer that category over 100% simply because manipulating the glass ball, and this is the glass ball you see here that we've been talking about, manipulating it can be so difficult. And that right there is exactly what the glitch is. So it is used in a 100% run, but just used very sparingly, because in an any percent run, you need to do that very precise trick that you saw Midboss do just there. You need to do that over and over and over again, and consecutively within the span of kind of one jump. So you're just bouncing up and up and up, several screens high, I believe, at some point in a later stage. And you cannot mess it up or else your glass ball breaks, because the idea of the glass ball is that if you bounce too high or too quickly into something, then the glass ball just shatters. So if you mess up at all during chaining your jumps together, the glass ball just breaks and you have to start all over again, or from your latest checkpoint. So that's why generally 100% has seen more attention than any percent. So what we're seeing now, to update you guys, Midboss is now, this is called the pathetic ball.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is, I mean, this is one of the last balls you get in the game, but it's still just called the pathetic ball because you can see it's slow and it bounces not high at all. But the idea behind it is that it's so pathetic that that lion that Midboss just skipped doesn't even care about it, whereas he'd normally eat any other ball that you're in the shape of. So we've been really cruising right along. This is the final stage of the game. Midboss has gotten every single ball. The one he's going to be using for a good part of this final stage is the flight ball. You can see here where, unlike any of the other balls, where the other balls have to bounce like crazy, for this one he can push the up key, which just allows for unlimited flight. And another reason why this final level is interesting is because you need to, while you have this kind of overpowered ball and the flight ball, you need to be able to take the form of other ones, because you need to progress through certain parts of this level as other balls to reach a certain kind of platform which allows you to input a four-digit code, which then finally unlocks the final part of the game and allows you to beat it. So that's kind of the idea behind this last one. So you can see there, Midboss just put in the 0 as one of the 4 numbers he needs to put in, and now he's I believe, ball 9, right? And ball 1, and where he needs to again reach that same kind of light and put ball 1 in that light, and then he'll do that 2 more times. So we're really reaching the end of the run. It's been a really good run so far, honestly. Oh, I shouldn't open my mouth. He reset and went to the ball selection screen just before, like frames before he reached that final little light he needed to reach. So that's unfortunate, but yeah. So Nicholas, as we approach the end of the game, is there anything else that you kind of wanted to share about the general creation of this game, or any interesting tidbits? Because this was really kind of one of the earliest games in indie gaming. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about as far as this game goes?
Don't really know.
Do you have any kind of favorite? You didn't compose the score, correct?
Some of the music.
Okay.
A lot of it I got help from my friends at an IRC chat, where I learned how to make music with computers.
Gotcha.
Some of these people are still composing for a lot of the games today I make.
Oh, okay. What are some of your recent games that you've been making in recent years?
I guess Night Sky and Knet Underground and some games like that. And right now I'm working on one called Affordable Space Adventures.
Cool. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, so I'm working with Knapnock Games. And this is a game about a company that is offering the cheapest, the cheapest way you can possibly travel in space. I mean, what could possibly go wrong with that?
I gotta interrupt you 1 second. We're almost at the end of the run, so Midboss is gonna say time as soon as he finishes. Nice. Sub 20. That is awesome.
Yeah.
So honestly, I mean, this run really sped by. I have so many more questions I want to ask you, Nicholas, but we're kind of out of time. So honestly, thank you so much for joining us. Can we get one more round of applause for Nicholas for joining us?
Awesome run. Super cool.
Yeah, I would also love to just, give a special shout out to Nicholas. Like, this is one of my favorite games I've ever played. I'd like to thank him for letting me, put hundreds and hundreds of hours into this game and for making such a great game.
Thank you.
If you want to check out Nicholas's works, you can go to nicholas.ni2.se. He's got his full list of games there. And you could just be sure to check that out, because he is one of the best indie devs out there. One of my personal favorites besides Within the Deep Forest is Night Sky, which Nicholas just talked about. It's another ball bouncing platformer. You can't miss it. It's really good. So yeah, check out his stuff. Nicholas, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Just super cool to see the run on my birthday and all.
Yeah.
So
A good gift.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. I think we're probably going to move on to the next game. But really, again, thank you so much, Nicholas, and a really solid run to Midboss. So, well done.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, that was Within a Deep Forest by Midboss featuring Niffless. Coming up is Shantae Risky's Revenge by Deviljho. And we'll be right back with a short commercial. Hope to stick with us. Thank you very much. You were ready. Oh, yeah. Okay, I will do that. I almost didn't want to cut off the developer. It seemed like he was. Right, I didn't want to do it during commercial. Right. Oh, of course. All right, we have $25 from Arlek Orjamon. Keep up the excellent work, guys. Who said games can't save lives? $50 from Juke. Within a Deep Forest was one of the first indie games I've ever played, and it left a lasting impression on me. Best of luck to Midboss. Within a Deep Forest was one of the first indie games I've ever played. I'm glad to see here at AGDQ. Thank you, Niffless, for your creation, and thank you everyone at AGDQ for being so golden. $75 from Luke 10. Happy birthday. And that's to Niffless. $10.01 from Correlator. Within a Deep Forest is one of my favorite games. Played it a lot when I was in school. Never expected to see it at AGDQ. Thanks for putting this on. $50 from Dysode. Within a Deep Forest was one of the first indie games I've ever played that really captured my imagination. Seeing it run is truly wonderful. Hats off and happy birthday to Niffless. This donation is dedicated to you and also saving the animals, but mostly to Niffless. $5 from Tangle. Love watching the speedruns. Let's smash cancer in the face and save the animals. $10 from Jonas14. Greetings from Germany. So glad to finally be donating to such an amazing event for a great cause. $10 from GIF. Happy birthday, Niffless, and thanks everyone for all the inspiration. This marathon has been nothing but heartwarming. $250 from Smasher32. Hey, Dev Joe, best of luck on the run. It's a good time to mention that one of our sponsors, Tiny Build Games, which is an indie developer that morphed into an indie publisher. They partner up with indies across the world to help better their